There comes a moment in every woman's life when she finally realizes the truth: she was never meant to shrink, to apologize, or to dim her power. She was built for strength, for grace, for purpose. She is a queen, and the moment she chooses to act like one, her entire world shifts. There comes a moment when a woman finally realizes that the power she has been searching for was never outside of her. It was never in the opinions of others, never in the validation she chased, never in the hands of the people she tried to please. It was always hers. But life has a way of making you forget that. Pain makes you forget. Disappointment makes you forget. Years of giving, sacrificing, and showing up for everyone but yourself makes you forget. And so you start living smaller. You start staying quiet when your heart wants to speak. You start accepting behaviors that drain you because you've convinced yourself that this is the best you can get. But deep inside, there is a voice that keeps calling you back to your own throne. Reclaiming your power begins the moment you stop handing it away in tiny pieces. Every time you say yes to something that disrespects your worth, you chip away at your own identity. Every time you stay where you know you don't belong, you send a message to your soul that you're not ready for more. And every time you shrink yourself so others can feel comfortable, you abandon the queen within you. But the woman you are meant to be cannot rise in the shadows. She needs you to stand tall, to take responsibility for your life, to stop blaming circumstances and start owning your choices. Power doesn't return by accident. It returns when you decide that you are done living beneath your potential. You reclaim your power by remembering who you were before life taught you to doubt. You reclaim it by refusing to let anyone have authority over your emotions, your time, or your identity. The truth is, you were never meant to live on your knees emotionally, mentally, or spiritually. You were built to stand, to move forward, to lead your own life with courage. But courage isn't loud at first. It begins as a whisper, a subtle reminder that says, enough. Enough of letting people walk over your boundaries. Enough of letting fear decide your future. Enough of giving your heart to people who only know how to take. Power comes back when you choose yourself, not in a selfish way, but in a sacred way, in a way that honors your value. There is a version of you that is tired of being overlooked, tired of being underestimated, tired of being depended on but never supported. That version of you is waiting for you to rise. She is waiting for you to stop seeking permission and start taking ownership. When you reclaim your power, you no longer move from desperation. You move from certainty. You no longer chase anyone. You attract the right people because your energy no longer bends for convenience. You stop explaining your standards because you understand that people who are meant for you will meet them without being asked. Stepping back into your power means looking at your reflection and seeing the truth again. You are more than your mistakes, more than your heartbreak, more than the seasons that tried to break you. Your story didn't end in those painful chapters. In fact, those chapters were preparing you for this moment. The moment you rise again, not as the woman who survived, but as the woman who refuses to be anything less than powerful. You reclaim your power by choosing to believe in yourself again, by trusting your intuition, by protecting your heart, by letting go of situations that cage your soul. The day you do that is the day your life begins to shift. Because once a woman remembers she is a queen, she stops acting like a prisoner. She stops hoping people will treat her right and starts enforcing how she deserves to be treated. She stops shrinking and starts expanding. She stops breaking for others and starts building for herself. That is the moment everything changes. Not because the world gives you your crown, but because you finally remember it was always yours. There comes a turning point in every woman's life when she realizes that the quality of her world is shaped by the standards she sets. Not the ones she talks about, but the ones she enforces. Too often, you find yourself exhausted not because you're weak, but because you've tolerated too much for too long. You've allowed people to stay in your life who came with excuses instead of effort. You've accepted half love, half attention, and half respect because you hoped that eventually they would give you more. But life doesn't change through hope alone. It changes when you decide what is no longer acceptable. Standards are not about being difficult. They are about honoring your worth. They are the foundation of your peace, the guardrails of your emotional health, the blueprint of the life you're building. When you let your standards drop, everything else in your life follows. Your energy becomes drained, your confidence becomes shaky, and your spirit becomes tired. But when you raise your standards, your entire world recalibrates. You are no longer available for disrespect. You no longer tolerate inconsistency. You no longer give access to people who drain your soul. You stop settling for the bare minimum because you finally understand that the bare minimum has never been enough for a woman like you. The truth is, people treat you based on what you allow. Not what you deserve, not what you've given, not what you hope for, but what you consistently accept. If someone knows they can lie and still stay in your life, they will. If someone knows they can take without giving, they will. If someone knows they can return every time they leave, they will. But when you set a standard that says, I will not be treated this way, everything changes. You are no longer driven by loneliness, fear, or attachment. You are driven by self-respect. Having standards doesn't mean you are cold. It means you have clarity. It means you understand that love without respect is chaos. That connection without consistency is confusion. That attention without effort is manipulation. A queen doesn't operate in emotional chaos. She operates in structure. She doesn't let people drain her energy with their indecision. She requires certainty. She doesn't let her heart be a landing place for people who refuse to stay. She sets boundaries that protect her value. When you raise your standards, you will lose people. And that's exactly what is supposed to happen. The ones who were only there for the benefits will leave. The ones who depended on your silence will fade. The ones who took advantage of your softness will disappear. But do not confuse loss with failure. Loss is alignment. The moment you choose a higher level for yourself, everything not meant for that level falls away. What remains is stronger, healthier, purer, and more aligned with your future. Raising your standards also means raising the standard you hold for yourself. You cannot ask for respect while disrespecting your own boundaries. You cannot ask for consistency while entertaining uncertainty. You cannot ask for effort while giving your energy to people who don't deserve it. Standards start within. They start with how you speak to yourself, how you treat yourself, how you show up for yourself. When you respect yourself fully, the world follows your lead. And when your standards rise, you begin to attract differently. You attract people who value your energy. You attract opportunities that match your potential. You attract love that honors your heart. Your life becomes calmer, clearer, cleaner. You stop surviving and start living. Because when a woman sets unshakable standards, she is no longer waiting for life to hand her a crown. She becomes the one who designs her kingdom, and she refuses to let anything or anyone weaken its foundation. There is a shift that happens inside a woman when she stops living life on autopilot and starts moving with intention. When she stops reacting to everything around her and begins directing her own path. Purpose is not something you stumble into accidentally. It's something you choose to walk in. And when you choose purpose, everything about your energy, your decisions, and your identity transforms. You no longer wake up hoping life will get better. You wake up creating better. You stop waiting for opportunities to appear. You position yourself to receive them. You stop letting emotions dictate your direction. You let vision lead the way. Walking in purpose means understanding that every challenge you've faced, every heartbreak you've survived, every setback you've endured was not meaningless. They were shaping you, refining you, preparing you for a higher version of yourself. A woman who walks in purpose doesn't look at her past as a collection of mistakes. She sees it as a training ground. She knows that what she went through was not meant to destroy her, but to strengthen her. And when she finally recognizes this, she stops questioning her worth and starts owning her destiny. Purpose gives you clarity. It helps you realize what deserves your attention and what has only been stealing your time. There are people, habits, and environments you entertain simply because you didn't know where you were going. When you lacked direction, everything seemed important. But once you gain clarity, you start cutting away the noise. You stop responding to every message. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't listen. You stop pouring your heart into situations that give you nothing back. Purpose makes your life cleaner, lighter, and more aligned. Purpose also gives you strength. When you know where you're going, you stop letting temporary emotions control permanent decisions. You stop giving up because of minor setbacks. You stop questioning yourself every time life becomes heavy. Instead, you move with determination. You move with discipline. You move with conviction. A woman walking in purpose doesn't crumble under pressure. She evolves under pressure. She grows from every challenge. She rises from every fall. She becomes sharper, wiser, and stronger because she knows her future requires a version of her that is unshakable. Walking in purpose is also an act of courage. It means stepping into rooms you once felt unworthy of. It means starting projects you were once afraid to fail at. It means letting go of attachments that no longer fit your future. It means choosing your future over your fear. There will be moments when you feel alone on the journey, moments when doubt tries to whisper in your ear, moments when comfort tries to pull you backward. But purpose doesn't let you shrink. Purpose pushes you forward. It reminds you that your life has meaning, that your voice matters, that your presence carries weight. The most powerful part of walking in purpose is that you no longer need to announce who you are. People will know. They will see it in the way you carry yourself, in the way you speak, in the way you make decisions. They will feel your confidence, your strength, your certainty. You won't need validation because you are already affirmed by your own clarity. When a woman walks in purpose, she becomes unstoppable. She becomes magnetic. She becomes a leader of her own life. And the world begins to shift around her because she is no longer living as a passenger. She is driving her destiny. Purpose is not just a path, it is a throne. And the moment you choose to walk in it, you stop questioning whether you are a queen and you start living like one.